Hi guys, so I'm also doing just I'm going to do a brief summary of some very important people in my life. I actually am a very lucky person. I have a lot of beautiful people in my life, and especially in my family. My family has actually been through a lot of their own hell, and it's almost weird how I'm going to be documenting my problems, but I'm coming from a place knowing that things could have been way worse for me, but also how my relatives actually handled their situations with actually very sophisticated, and like they were very graceful. They actually got out pretty well. Hopefully, maybe later, um, we can bring in some of them to maybe express their feelings about it, because a lot of their incidents, even if they happened before I was born, they played a huge impact on my life. Maybe if they're open enough, they'll discuss some things with me. Um, the first two people, I'm gonna pair them off in chunks so we can get through this. The first couple people I would like to mention actually is my mom and my dad. My mom was born and raised in Mount Pleasant, Texas, my hometown where I was born. She had me, and she met my dad, who lives in southwestern Ontario. Well, he's actually my stepfather, but you'll learn in my videos that I call him Dad. He is my dad, and he always will be. Um, but like my mom and dad, like their struggles together and what they went through before in life really shaped me as a person. Um, my mom, at my age, actually was 22 years old, and she decided to switch countries. Even though it was just the U.S. to Canada, it's still a huge difference. And I compare myself at that age, how I'm 22, but I don't have any children. I believe my sister was around when my mom was 22, but this is how things were. You started your families young, and you continued. And my mom, I think, is very happy. I would hope so. It's a great life. We actually all have a very great life. We're separated from her parents, and her brothers, who are still living in the states. Who I'll be mentioning next. But I guess the big thing that my parents taught me is our struggles become our blessings. They're uh, because because I was born before my mom and my dad's marriage. There was a lot of things we dealt with, and I remember, I'm not going to get too much specific on this situation, but as a single mother for in my early life, I didn't really remember much, and that's a blessing because my mom handled it very well. And I remember her telling me that yeah, it was hard. Life was hard. She never specified life was hard, and you go through it. And she constantly tells me like I wouldn't change it any other way. I had a beautiful daughter and everything. It's kind of hard as a child to really show that's giving you advice and saying no, you get by. It happens, and you'll like shit happens, but you won't want to change it. And I keep thinking like, aw, mom, you're just being a mom. If I wasn't here, you'd say something different. So it's kind of weird that like how you don't understand something then it'll be a story you've heard all your life, but now that you're older, you get it. Um, the next two people I'm going to mention are my two uncles, my mom's brothers. My uncle Daniel and my uncle Leland. They are two funny characters, and I'll probably be sharing a lot of their blog. Well, they don't have blogs, but a lot of what they're doing. They have no choice. So I'm gonna just be like, yeah, these are my crazy relatives, and we're gonna mention them. Uh, my uncle Daniel still lives in Texas, and he's a great fisherman. He's a great guy. He's like I love all my relatives, and we especially my two uncles. They have given me such a look on life. It's pretty funny. My uncle Daniel would be like the guy that it's like I'll go to jail for you. Like you're my niece. I will like you say the word and I will be there. And a lot of my times in my life, I realize he's joking, but there's been a couple times where like no, he loves you. He'll do it. And so I kind of like play down my situations. Like no, you can't go to jail. Just because I like it's nice having someone you know will be there for you. My uncle Leland is exactly the same way. They just have two very different styles. Um, my uncle Daniel is more like I'm gonna put you like in the catfish pond or something like that. Like you, there will be no evidence of you. He's a little bit more hardcore. My uncle Leland is more of like an intimidation thing. he actually has a daughter now too. She's the cutest. So I feel like he, if I ever called upon him, he would be like upped, and it'd be like almost mafia style. Like, no, no one will ever hear from you again. Two very different styles of like just the same kind of love. I actually used to live with them back when my mom and I were younger. Well, when I was very young, I was 3 years old. Um, it was an experience. We'll say that. Definitely shaped how I view the world now, especially how I view other women. That's gonna be a whole new topic on its own. But I've learned there's some weird out there because I don't behave in comparison. Like I'm very tomboyish, but I'm also very like a dolled up person. I like it. It's fun. It's fun being like tomboyish and have someone like those fake eyelashes. It's fun. The next people I'm gonna mention also still reside in Texas. It's my Nana and my Papa. Yes, I call my grandmother Nana. I don't know why. It is actually a very funny story. I remember being told when I was young that I ain't your granny, I ain't your grandma, or anything. Like just a southern accent, good lord, just saying like, this is no, you're not gonna call me this. I'm not old enough to be a grandma. It was just funny. So it's like, what do I call you? And it was always pretty funny. She's a character as well. My papa is a very strong, silent type. He I guess like what I love most about him, and I tell everyone this is my grandmother's very outspoken, like out there, whirlwind, matriarch of the house. She's crazy. She's out there. She's outgoing. But my papa is very much the yin to her yang. He doesn't speak much, but he'll still talk. So still says, "Hey, how are you?" But when there's a situation, he doesn't comment too much unless he is pissed. And I remember several times in my life where just silence went across the room because my papa stood up and he was going to say something. And it was interesting having that strong presence and really showing that level heads prevail. And it's a huge impact on my life. That is actually something I have been striving to achieve. Most of the men in my family actually are very level-headed men, and they handle everything with like this cool, calm demeanor. And honestly, the women think they run this family, but they do not. We would run it straight off a cliff, and the guys are just like steering, like, no, go this way. You guys are gonna kill us. But we're all very like the women are very eccentric, and that's really how I take after. And my dad, my papa, my uncles are like, you're a woman of this house. It's good luck being as calm as we are. But I still try to achieve that. The next two people I'm going to mention are my grandparents. They're actually my stepdad's parents, but they accepted me as the family, and yeah, grandma and grandpa. Like grandma has quite a way to describe things. I was telling her about the breakup actually that I mentioned earlier. I was telling her about it, and she's like, I don't know how you get yourself in these situations. And I was like, fair enough. Like, my life is ridiculousness, and I honestly don't, like, just because like my family is pretty much at the point that's like, how do you do this? How does this happen? And I'm like, I'm sorry, I have no answers for you. But they, like, my grandma and grandpa actually call me on my bullshit a lot. They're very respected members of the community. Of like my hometown in Canada, which is Watford, all like 1,100 people. They're very respected there, and everyone knows everyone in that town, and everyone knows my grandparents. They actually own a garage that was actually owned by my great grandparents. They're very cool people. They're the ones that are kind of like, no, you're old enough, figure this out, like stop fucking around. And it's kind of sinking in. Like it's like, okay, I can, I will. And But like most of my other family's like, oh, you're 22, live it up. It's like, no, there's a point where we gotta get on track. The next two people are my brother and my sister. My sister is actually the next in my family. I am the oldest by like 5 or 6 years actually. Gotta get the number right, or I'm gonna get hate mail from my sister. My sister Morgan is actually 17, I think. I hope. She's 17 and she's actually a very talented athlete. She will go way farther in life than I ever did just on her talent alone. And she is a great person, and I have done a lot of things to her in life, like trying to teach her some lessons, like a little tough love. And I kind of regret now, but they were like, they worked, but it was still like, just thinking about it, but I got a lot of things with my sister. I'm very close with my sister in a way. And my brother, he's 14. I believe he's 14, and I don't pay attention. They're just there. So I'm 8 years older than him, and he has no brother. Like, no brother. We have three boy cousins, but it's another story. I'm the oldest, so I have a lot of advice that comes to me through my brother, and I sit there and I'm like, I don't know. I'm not a boy. I'm sorry. Can I Google this? Like, I always feel bad when my brother comes up to me as the oldest sibling and says, Cheyenne, I need your help. And it's like, okay, buddy, what do you need? And it'll be like some boy question, and I'll just be like, I have no idea. And it's pretty funny. It's quite a funny journey with him, as me as the older sister, trying to help my brother that I love get him there in life, just give him that life advice that you don't really want to go to your parents for, and struggling with that. The research I gotta do alone is pretty funny. Like, I have to ask my roommate and my landlord, who are boys, like, what'd you do in this time of life? How'd you get through this? And they're like, why? I'm like, brother needs help, man. And they're like, okay, we'll figure it out. Next two people, I don't give a fuck if they don't want to be mentioned. These are my people. I see them 4 or 5 times a day. We're gonna be doing this. It's my buddy Steve Demchek and his girlfriend Kelly. I actually know Kelly because I used to work with her in a stater room. Back when we were temp workers in a temp agency. At a bigger company where Nemchek worked actually. And Nemchek's actually from my hometown. He's more my dad's age, and you're gonna learn that I'm very influenced by the fact that my two best friends are 16 and 20 years older than me. It's a very different perspective, but I feel like I'm being crash course into adulthood and being like, no, get your shit together. Nemchek is a very like no nonsense person. He's had his own share of problems, and he's really one of those guys that are like, no, you're responsible for your life. You gotta get off your ass and do something about it. And I'm like, well, what about the things that are beyond your control? He's like, they're beyond your control, but you can fucking figure out how to catch yourself. And he's a very no nonsense, no excuse person, and it's kind of teaching me to be like a little bit of a more selfish person in like good ways, where you need to look out for yourself, or it's pretty much again described to me. You either look out for yourself, or you look out for no one, and like don't take care of other people if you're not going to be taking care of yourself. Like and you're not allowed to take care of people unless you take care of yourself. Kind of like two rules that go hand in hand. Kelly she's awesome. She's my friend, and we used to work together in the stater room. So only us in the room, 40-hour weeks, sometimes 50 or 60. You get to know each other. She actually moved into my old apartment building, and she saw my life go from being pretty good, being like, I was doing well I was 20 at the time. I was doing well for a 20-year-old living on her own, paying bills, going to work. I was doing pretty well, and then just to have it all pretty much crash down. And she kind of saw it, but she's also seeing me pick myself back up. And she kind of acts as a witness to my life, and she's like, you gotta give yourself some credit. You're doing things that, no matter how small they are to you, you're doing something. Some people never do anything. And the next two people are actually her kids. Well, one is her kid and the other is her girlfriend. It is Skylar and Shawnee. Shawnee is my friend Kelly's oldest daughter. She is a couple years younger than me, actually, but I still see her as a kid. And she's pretty awesome. She's very quiet, and she's actually going to be doing pet training videos with me, where we train our dogs. My dog is sleeping over there, finally being quiet. But they're also getting a puppy soon, so we're going to show you really like the beginning at what you have to do, because that's another thing. It's like a smaller life lesson that's not going to hold so much emotional weight to it. It's like, you have a puppy, you gotta get its vaccinations. Here's what you do it. This is how you get its vaccinations. Like, there's gonna be a lot more practical things. There's gonna be a lot more practical things in my videos with them, and we're gonna do pet product reviews. One, I can give you an example of what we're gonna be reviewing first. Is a lot of them are gonna be like pet harnesses and leashes. I'm not finding many that fit perfectly on my dog, but he's a mixed breed, so it may always just be a problem. But I'm finding it very difficult that it's hard to find perfectly fitting harnesses. A lot of people I'm going to be mentioning in my past videos are going to be past boyfriends and possibly a future relationship that might be developing. Don't jinx anything. I'm not going to name names, or I'm going to try not to. But I've learned a lot of lessons through relationships for some reason. I have managed to be able to pay my bills, live my life, take care of myself. But as soon as I have a partner in my life, it's almost like I have to go and recover my life all over again. I have to go get a new job. They're a lot of manipulative relationships and a lot of like good ones. There have been a couple, like the recent one that was good, but it's other people you may have to deal with that are close to them, and how you're going to really cope with it. I can give you an example. Hopefully doesn't anger them, but my most recent one, his mother did not like me, and it was a very odd experience to deal with. I'll get more into that later, but it was a very odd experience to deal with because I was the younger one by like my boyfriend was younger than me, but in comparison to his mother, I was a lot younger than her. So a lot of it was how to it was a simple concept of some people are not gonna like you, and it's hard when it comes from left wing. Because everyone says, "Oh, ignore the haters, ignore the haters." Well, sometimes the haters are attached to the lovers, the people who love you and help you in life, and you gotta really deal with that. So there's that as well. And also I'm gonna mention the relationship that really got me into the real world, because that's who I got my dog with. He was a great guy, but it was once again a child transitioning to an adult. A big, like, not a big mistake, but like it was something that you should see what it feels like. I'm also going to talk about with them. A lot of people recommend, well, really a lot not recommended, but you should be finding closure in any relationship. The one relationship before my recent breakup, it actually caused quite a stir in my life, and it was very difficult to process because it was almost like a gamble, and making a stupid gamble with your life and you falling on your face, and how it actually affected me in my next relationship, and then my next relationship, and it actually I only recently spoke to him again, and we actually got closure. I got closure, actually. It was a strange kind of closure. It wasn't like, "Oh, why are we not going to be together? I love you." Nothing like that. It was more like acknowledging the other person as a person, not what fucked up, but it was more like because there are situations in life you do not fuck up. You did everything within your power, and no matter what you do, or how you do it, it's gonna blow up in your face. But and you have to find that closure within yourself first, saying that no, there was nothing that was beyond your control. You did this correctly. It was not meant to be. And but the one example in a later video will be probably the one after this, will be me finding the closure after that and him acknowledging me as a person. And what do you really do with that acknowledgement, really? Like, it's a very odd feeling when you no longer have to fight and you have someone agreeing with you. It's very interesting. But stay tuned. As you can tell, it's gonna be quite a journey. It's gonna be a pretty adventurous journey.